the Emperor's Royal Guard, the personal protectors of Emperor Palpatine himself. They fought countless assassination missions and are amongst the most elite of orders in the galaxy. However, we see them do very little in the films. So, let's shed some light on this highly mysterious order. The origins of the Guard go back before the Clone Wars, when an attempt was made on Supreme Chancellor Palpatine's life, and rumours of traitors in the Senate Guard arose. For this reason, the Red Guard was formed. This order's sole aim was to protect the Supreme Chancellor at all costs. They were experts at most forms of conflict, and were often selected from promising Senate commandos. Now, until the point of the founding of the Empire, the Red Guard were quite linear, if you will. They were good at fighting and would protect the Supreme Chancellor, often successfully but sometimes not so much, for example when General Grievous kidnapped the Chancellor. When the new order was formed, the Red Guard changed its loyalty from the Chancellor to the Emperor, and became the Emperor's Royal Guard. This is down to how the Red Guard had loyalty to the Chancellor, not to the Republic. Any signs of disloyalty were quickly snuffed out by the Emperor. With the Emperor being able to act more like the Sith Lord that he was, he quickly had his new Royal Guard in better form than ever, purging any signs of weakness from them. They were trained in many forms of combat, primarily a martial arts style, where they would use their force pikes to easily dispatch foes. They were trained in an academy on Yinghuo. Here they were split into classes of about 40. However, the brutal training process Palpatine had his recruits subject to meant it would often be that only one would survive, with Palpatine ordering those who did survive to kill each other to earn the position at his side. Palpatine was very particular. He only wanted the best of the best of the best at his side, and anybody who was not capable of doing that was killed. Guards were fitted with some of the fanciest equipment credits could buy. Their red robes are purely ceremonial. Underneath lies a high quality combat armour, similar to that used by Mandalorian clans. They concealed heavy blaster pistols for ranged combat, as well as vibroblades. And when in flight they used a specialist red TIE interceptor. It's important to remember that the Royal Guard was a secretive order. The names of the guardsmen were only known to the members of the Guard and the highest ranking Imperials. They used special combat language that only they knew, so they would be able to communicate in battle. Hell, no one even really knows how many Royal Guards were in the Order at any one point. Estimates range from 50 to tens of thousands. These silent guards were so feared as no one really knew anything about them. All they knew was what they saw from the propaganda, things like, "No Royal Guard has ever fallen in battle." But there was another organisation in the Royal Guards, the Emperor's Shadow Guards. These were particularly skilled members of the Guard who possessed a potential to use the Force. They were taken to a secret facility and taught to use the dark side of the Force by the Dark Jedi, and were closely monitored by Inquisitors. The Shadow Guard worked on Palpatine's side projects, if you will, as well as his personal protection. The Shadow Guards wore similar armour to the standard Royal Guards, but with inverted colours. As well as that, they equipped lightsaber pikes, which far exceeded the Royal Guard's force pikes. They would lead legions of stormtroopers into battle against the Empire's most hated of foes. However, these guards were not subject to propaganda. They were not present at fancy ceremonies. They worked in the shadows and did whatever the Emperor deemed needed done. There was other detachments of Royal Guards in the Empire. By having seemingly limitless amounts of ranks and titles, Palpatine was able to keep his guards loyal and motivated, ever wanting to prove themselves more and more worthy to their Emperor. Now, we see very little of the Royal Guards in the films, but in other media they appear far more frequently. In fact, to keep the Guards in fighting form, the Emperor had them participate in the dangerous battles against the Empire's foes. Posing as everyday stormtroopers, where they would wear stormtrooper armour, often in a red variety, to ensure that they would fare superior to the average soldier. This highly secretive elitist order is one of the most revered in the galaxy. Don't let their fancy robes and pikes fool you. The Emperor's Royal Guard are amongst the most deadliest of factions, who will sacrifice anything to ensure Palpatine's rule.